Okay, so now that we've kind of put everything together here, materials, lights, and cameras, along with models, this is sort of just a catch-all in reference to the video that we watched with camera skills. So in within a couple of days, we're going to begin animation, and we'll begin animating these cameras. But to give you a feel for how we want to set them up, I've created a simple scene up here in the top view. You notice it's a plane with several different objects around it, just some basic primitives. And I've got my camera out here sitting in the space, and I've changed my viewport to camera 1 so I can see what it sees. Now, from the lesson, I did tell you that we're going to have one of the techniques that we want to use is a simple pan, and that is taking the camera stationary and rotating it around to catch various items in our scene. So what I'm simply doing here is just rotating my camera on the center axis, and if you notice, it's allowing me to see all the objects around us. Now what happens is, for instance here, is the oil tank's really big, and it kind of takes up the whole scene, where some of these items you'll notice are farther back. So one of the techniques that we'll have to work with here is a little bit of tilt as well as pan and scan, or pan. So that means I may start off down here. And again, I also have these properties to do zooming up here. So I hit my modify, and I notice that I'm set at 43. I got a 35. That allows me to see this. So what we'll do is we'll start keyframing. When we start in the animation, we'll keyframe each point. For instance, there we may want to go from a 35 lens and zoom into the teapot. So at this point we hit 50 or maybe even 85, and we may also have to do a little bit of tilting as well. Now notice when you're not on a complete 90-degree angle, what happens is your camera starts to get tilted, and now it's lopsided. And I showed that to you on purpose. That happens. Unfortunately, we almost have to adjust our keyframing at a 90-degree angle. We have to adjust our zoom and then rotate it in there. So one of the techniques we'll learn is that you can adjust the lenses as you're rotating around. So at this point we can back it up a little bit, come down to 50, 35, depending on what type of shot you're looking for. But we'll be able to adjust these zoom lenses as we see fit, so that we can zoom in and key on some of the details you put into your walkthrough and various other parts of the project. So each point, not only are we going to rotate, but we're going to use zoom while we're doing that. Okay, and then we'd finally get here to the end, and we'll do like a 35, maybe a 28. So that is sort of two techniques in one: the pan as well as a zoom, and possibly even a little bit of tilt in there. And as long as you have your camera set up, you can make multiple cameras and name each one. For instance, we could call this one pan camera 1. Then we can create a second camera that's actually going to be maybe catching a different angle of the room, or we can even do the camera attached to a path, which we're going to learn in a lesson coming up real soon. Okay, so that ends this lesson, just as a brief review of some of the camera techniques that we can use.